Hey there, you are listening to the B2U Podcast, and I am your host, Vanessa Vaughn Matthews, the founder and Chief Resilience Officer of Asphalis Advisors. The B2U Podcast is brought to you by cbrbiz.com, a site connecting you with the resources you need to start and run a business in the Charlotte region. We're bringing business resources directly to you. We discuss a wide range of topics like starting and growing a business, navigating government contracts, and how to set your business apart in and around Charlotte. We're talking with small business experts to get exclusive advice on how to start and run a successful business. So you have an idea for a great business, but don't know where to start. How do you incorporate it? Who can you turn to avoid those simple mistakes that can happen at the beginning of the process? Oftentimes, the hardest part is these first steps. To help us navigate these waters, we have Jim Weiland, Assistant District Director from SCORE. SCORE mentors and helps people start small businesses. We're also talking to two business owners who have benefited from programs like SCORE, inventors of the Easy Lift Vest, Cathy and Michael Foster. So Jim, thank you very much for joining our podcast today.
My pleasure.
I'm excited to have you.
Likewise.
So before we get started, can you tell our listeners more about yourself?
Yes. My name is Jim Weiland, and I'm a longtime but now retired individual from the corporate world. And I decided that there was a lot that I knew about business, so I joined an organization called SCORE. SCORE is a not-for-profit organization of former business executives or people who are still in business or own their own businesses. And we do mentoring of startups and small businesses in general. And everything we do is free. We have both face-to-face mentoring and we have workshops. And there's a story I'd like to tell you about those workshops, if I could.
Okay. So before we get into that story, what specifically is your role with SCORE?
Interesting question. My specific role today is I am the Assistant District Director for SCORE for North Carolina. And we are part of the Southeast region of SCORE. There's over 300 chapters of SCORE. And so we say grace over about 10 chapters here in North Carolina. My role is to help those chapters with their operations as well as helping them find resources to help our clients.
Gotcha. So what's interesting is when I first came up with my idea to start my company, I was living in Savannah, Georgia, and I Googled SCORE one day, and I met someone very similar to yourself that had a corporate background but was volunteering. And he actually ran a major consulting firm. So SCORE actually helped me to get started too. So I appreciate you.
Oh, very good. Very good.
So what's this training program that SCORE has?
Well, it has a number of things, but the one that we tend to use the most with startups is a program called Simple Steps to Starting Your Business. And you're going to be talking to Cathy and Michael Foster in a little while. They came to one of our workshops. They came in with limited knowledge of what business was all about. But Cathy had a product, and the product is dynamic, and it's outstanding. And so they went through the workshops. But during the third or fourth workshop, I was the class manager for a series of 4 workshops. I challenged Cathy and Michael to bring the product in. You kind of think Easy Lift, which is the name of their company. Yeah, okay, what's this thing going to be? Now, I had an idea because they had talked about it being not like what I was used to in nursing homes, these big machines, but I wasn't sure what it was. So they came in and it was this vest, and Cathy had the vest on, and I can't tell you today what she put on me. I don't know, but I sat down in a chair, and I'm not light. I won't tell you how heavy I am, and you can't see how heavy I am.
And I won't ask.
But I'm not light. And the next thing I know, I'm standing up. She's also got me off the ground. So it was fantastic. And another mentor who was teaching the class His name is Michael Jackson. No, not that Michael Jackson.
I don't believe you.
No, his name is Michael Jackson. And Michael is currently not in Charlotte. He's in Nashville and has remained in contact with Cathy and Michael. But I'm here as a surrogate working with them as they move forward. Their story is unbelievable. It is truly a small business success story, and I'm going to let them tell you all about it.
So I now get the pleasure to be at the table with Cathy and Michael Foster. So I want to say thank you for joining us today.
It's our pleasure.
So Cathy, can you please share with me and our listeners how you got started in entrepreneurship, and really, what's your story?
My story is my sister and I both are registered nurses, and we were caregivers for our mom. And we were having challenges getting her out of bed and out of a chair without pulling and tugging on her. We knew that wasn't safe for her, and it wasn't safe for us because of the repetitiveness throughout the day could cause injury to her as well as to ourselves. Mm-hmm. And so we began to just sit at the table and talk about the challenges we were having. And actually, my sister said, well, Cathy, I think we should pray about it. She said a very short prayer. And then she said, Cathy, I think it should be a vest. And when she said that, I grabbed a piece of paper and I began to draw what I saw. And that is how our product, the Easy Lift Vest, came about. And so after we redid that, I took it to Joann Fabrics, the drawing to Joann Fabrics, and I asked one of the salespeople there if they could duplicate what I drew, which they did. And then I took it to my sister, mailed it to her. She lived in Florida. And she looked at it and she said, I think I can do a little bit better. She took it to a dressmaker, and then the dressmaker made it a little bit better with a little bit stronger and better material. And after we got the product back, we began to realize that if it would help our mom, it would help a lot of people who are struggling behind closed doors, trying to help their loved ones, or staff in the hospital trying to help their patients. And that's how it came about.
Wow. So has mom used it yet?
Actually, my mom was about 83 years old at the time. She did have an opportunity to know what we were doing, and we were trying to help her. But unfortunately, she had passed prior to it being done and being completed. But the type of woman that she was, and that we knew that she would want us to continue with what we were doing, because we knew that she would want us to help others as well.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So you're here with your husband today, right, and would love to kind of get, where are you now? And then we can talk about the middle stuff and how you got here. But where is the company now?
You want to speak to that?
Well, right now, the company is selling products across the United States. We're having good success. We're finally into the black. We sell our product in 48 states. And we sell it across Canada. We're seeing about 70% growth year over year, and we're pretty happy with how things have turned out. Cathy was featured in 31 Days of Biz, and so she got a shout out for that. Over the course of her gaining more notoriety in this product, she was invited up to the board of Medicare, where she presented this product to the board of Medicare in hopes of getting its own HCPCS code, which basically means there's an assigned number from Medicare that's applied to that particular device so that people can get compensated. We weren't successful in being able to get our own HCPCS code, but we did get an ovation. The people said, this is unbelievable. But they classified it as a medical device, a safety medical device. And that's where it's at. We go to various trade shows. I mean, we talk so much to people about these things, and we're starting to see our business just begin to light up. So we're pretty happy with where it's going, and Cathy's done a marvelous job.
If I wasn't on this podcast, I'd be screaming and jumping and giving you a high five.
Yeah, she's done well.
So I have to be honest, being in Charlotte, there's always so many conversations about women-owned minority businesses and, us growing and scaling. And it is an honor to sit in front of you and to hear your story, but to understand how you've been able to move barriers to work together and to get places where I'm sure you probably never thought.
Never thought.
No, correct.
I mean, so in my eyes, when I look at you, I say, Vanessa, you can do it.
Absolutely.
You can do it. Like it means something to see somebody who looks like you and to accomplish it. So I'm just excited. So I'm ready to get into it. So we, some of our business owners are very early stage and some of them are more advanced. I want to start with the business plan. How was that process for you? How did you guys create it and what did it do for you?
Okay. Well, the business plan came in several stages. First of all, since Cathy's got a product that had to be patented, it took us several years. And you say, well, why did it take several years? Because when you have a medical device that looks like that, you most definitely have to have it patented before you begin to take it out into the public eye. So Cathy worked with the patent office. She got herself an attorney. She did a tremendous amount of work investigating other products to understand what's out in the marketplace and begin to analyze those products. She actually took, after she got through making her prototype, she had 10 of those products sewed up and took them to the Pines of Sarasota. This is in 2013, I believe. And she conducted a trial, a feasibility trial. Will this product do what it's supposed to do? And it came through with flying colors, although it did come through with, hey, you should do this. They put a pocket on it. They wanted a pocket. They wanted different handles in different locations. And so after they got through with that and they made the improvements, the product was in excellent shape. In addition, in a business plan of this type, you have to have NAICS and SIC codes. And I want to tell you that what it is it kind of says what kind of product this is, an NAICS. And we needed it for our business plan. So we reviewed all of that. We ran freight analysis. At the time, we lived in Memphis. And we started looking at wherever our product is going to be located, you got to ship it to Memphis, and then you got to take it from Memphis and ship it out. Well, that would cause excess cost. So when we looked at that, we said, it makes more sense to be located in the area where you're going to manufacture the cost, because to be honest, we don't pay any freight getting it from our manufacturer into our home. After we did that, we did our first cut at the business plan. We developed a supplier selection matrix. Here's what we did. Because we didn't know who would be the best supplier for this product, we looked all across the Southeast, and we targeted the North Carolina area because it used to be known for all the textiles and clothing manufacturing. We were just hopeful that we would find companies that could make the product. As we looked at Thomas.net for all the suppliers that made these type of products, we narrowed it down to 240 companies. We did investigations. We narrowed it down to 14. After we did 14, we did what we called a request for information. So for those 14 companies, we sent a request for information. Well, there was 9 questions that asked these types of, hey, do you do this? Do you do that? We wanted to stay away from international companies because it hadn't been patented yet. And we didn't want people stealing the idea. After that, we narrowed it down from 14 to 4. And then we came out here and looked around at these 4 companies. And we went to one company, and we actually did not want to go in. It looked so poor, and it almost looked like slave labor. It was old-time technology. We pushed that off. One of the companies said, hey, we don't do that. And another company was so high-tech they were going to nickel and dime you to death. We selected a company down here in Monroe, North Carolina.
Wow. Can I interject something?
Sure.
But I also wanted to let everyone know that had we not gone through SCORE and met with Jim and met with Michael Jackson, we may not have been as far as we are right now. So they were very instrumental, very patient, very kind in helping us do taking the baby steps and then learning to walk. And now we're pretty much in a run. And so we really do have to really thank them for being there for us. And at any time we needed them, they were there. And they really took the time to work with us. The classes we took were absolutely wonderful. And we learned so much through the experiences they had, their background, their education, and all of that. It really made a difference for us in our business. And I would encourage anyone who is starting out, wanting to start a business, you have an idea, you don't know where to go, your first place should be to really call SCORE. They will really work with you as long as it takes. They will give you a mentor that will work with you. And it has just been phenomenal for us. And our hats really are off to them because they really helped quite a bit in the success of our business.
Awesome.
So, Jim, thank you.
The one thing I would add is that once we selected the company in Monroe to make our product, we sold our home, moved here. One day I picked up the newspaper, to Cathy's point, and they had these classes downtown that I said, well, hey, I think it was a couple $100. We didn't know nothing about a business. So we went down there and we brought our book. I think we brought our book, where it gave you step-by-step information on how to, start these businesses. So after we finished our book, we started selecting our sales and marketing person that's from here, Burris Creative. And the SCORE folks taught us from financial perspective to use some of their break-even analysis. We used all of that, which gives you information on dollar ranges, profit, volume scenarios. And we took and used all of the different models that they had on profitability and how to manage the business. All that was rolled up into the business plan.
Stick around. We'll be back in a minute. Every year, the Small Business Center at Central Piedmont helps thousands of entrepreneurs learn, launch, connect, and grow by giving them the skills they need to succeed. Central Piedmont Small Business Center supports small businesses with webinars, seminars, and one-on-one counseling. If you are seeking to launch a startup or scale an existing venture, Central Piedmont Small Business Center can provide step-by-step assistance to help you achieve your business goals. If you want to learn more about Central Piedmont Small Business Center, head over to cbrbiz.com. So let me ask this question, because I don't think I heard you share this yet. What year did you get started? And that process that you talked through about the business plan, was that you two, or did you have more support?
It was primarily us pulling it together. It wasn't as good as it was once we came out here, but it kind of gave us a straw proposal. We worked and we got some software. Gosh, I should know what the name of it is. Well, anyway, I'll think of it in a minute. That was just outstanding software for doing a business plan, and it took us 4 months of following the prompts in the software to come up with a business plan that looked incredibly professional. Nice. And after we got connected with Michael, we started setting the price for the product. We used their financial models. We pulled in all the projections that came out of those workbooks, and then we used a supply base that we discovered here in North Carolina, and we were off to the races.
Love it. So can you talk to me about licenses, insurance, and legal? Because if I'm understanding you correctly, this really started as a passion to help your mom, right? And then you dive deeper into it, and then you say, well, there's a business opportunity here too, but you're really driven by your heart, right? Yes. So as you started to see insurance, legal, what was that experience like for you to kind of navigate that?
Well, we knew it was going to be important for us to have insurance for our product because it is a safety product. And so there's always a possibility of things happening. And we were so fortunate, again, with SCORE, that we were able to utilize the resources that they had, and we were able to get we
got a line of credit
from the SBA. And so that kind of helped us a little bit, kind of cushioned things a little bit if it was needed.
Well, the other things that we were able to do was, as Cathy said about the insurance, we had to get enough insurance in case something happened with the product.
Mm-hmm. Right.
We already had the attorney that we utilized down in Florida for the patents. I didn't mention this earlier, but she's got 3 patents and a trademark. A 4th one on its way. There's other products that are in the hopper that are fixing to come. So we had a really good trademark attorney down there, but we started having to find our attorneys up here when it came down to our headquarters is down in Bradenton, Florida. And that's where the administration and sales takes place. And then we, as the manufacturing portion of that family, we're up here. So we had to have attorneys that helped us with how to connect and how to do the state laws and the state taxes and all that. but it was something that we utilized Michael Jackson for. Michael helped us tremendously. There's another woman named Lisa Tweedy, I think maybe, and she helped us with the distribution piece of it, how to set the prices, because it's so important. You don't want to overprice your product or underprice your product, and that's where we use the SCORE models to help us set the price for the product. And once we got done with that, I need to run a story by you folks. As soon as we got our patent, it came out. We were selling product. We started selling product up here in North Carolina. We got a phone call from our competition out in New York and told us he was going to sue us because we took his family's product and we were, using it as our own. And we had to explain to them, we have 2 patents on it at this point. So you need to talk to the patent office. You don't need to talk to us. Our product is patented and trademarked. But the thing I need to share with you is you got to make sure you're covered legally, that you got the right patents and trademarks, because they're going to come after you. Yep. And matter of fact, just recently, we found someone that's counterfeiting our product up in Detroit. Is it Detroit? Minnesota? Minneapolis. And we had to send our attorney to talk to him because, they're starting to try to, attack our good name.
Wow. Okay. Well, you always have to have your eyes looking. That's why I'm in the world of risk.
There you go.
So let's talk about the location. So you mentioned that manufacturing is here. There's an administrative and sales office in Florida. So it sounds like you're in multiple states, and you already are serving 48 different states.
That's
and
correct.
Canada. Can you talk us through how, as a business owner, you got to the place where you said, I need a facility, and here's what I'm looking for in a facility, and how you went about that?
Well, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, actually, we don't have a facility, but our partners are my sister and her husband. And so they do the administrative portion there in Florida. And then we do the manufacturing here in Charlotte, out of Monroe. And that's how we do that.
Well, let me explain this. Having been in corporate America in procurement, most of the time you do a make versus buy analysis to determine, is that something you want to invest in to make it yourself versus buy it. And we ran into Lance Dunn, who was competitive with the Asian offshore suppliers. We don't know anything about sewing. Lance brought technology that I had never seen before. It really came from the military. And his thoughtfulness, he is a MIT graduate mechanical engineer. His family has been here for over 100 years, and their facility is down the street. We're like, hey, we were real happy. And he made it at a price that we couldn't walk away from.
And we wanted to make it here in the United States.
Yep. Incredible. Okay. And so let's talk a little bit too about, you've mentioned a lot of people, including SCORE, this support network. I mean, how did you build your network? How has that process been? And what has your network been able to help you with? And how have you been able to help your network?
Well, the only thing I would say relative to network, Cathy has done a marvelous job of reaching out to SCORE and the SBA here. And then by going to the various forums and trade shows, oh my God, we got people calling us we've never heard of. Matter of fact, we had someone call us up just the other day wanting us to become part of their distribution network. When you go to these various trade shows and you get all the business cards, you get to meet people. They're trying to help you. You're trying to help them. And so the network is very, very strong outside of Charlotte. We're also probably more popular up in the Raleigh area than we are here because they have a whole lot more caregiver summits. And we went to one in Lillington, Raleigh, and Durham, and there was another one. And so outside of Charlotte, we've really tried to cover and get to meet a lot of people that want to help us. From inside of Charlotte, it's the people like SCORE, like Michael Jackson, and Lisa's a very big help to us because she's an expert when it comes to distribution and pricing and working with distribution people and whatnot.
Love that. Okay. That is very, very, very insightful. So let's talk a little bit more about the Charlotte community. What's your thoughts on, where you want to play in this community? What's the impact that you think you guys are going to have here?
Well, I think that we're going to be able to really reach more people here in Charlotte. It's just through the trade shows that we have, here in Charlotte.
I would also add that in fairness to Charlotte, we haven't focused as much effort and attention in Charlotte as we have outside of Charlotte, because you've got Duke, you've got UNC, you've got a number of major universities outside of this particular area that seem to be behind a lot of these caregiver summits. Something that you need to understand that's playing into this is the demographics. You may not know that more people are turning 65. I think there's 10,000 people turning 65, I think it's every day in the United States. Matter of fact, our age group is getting bigger than the children that are being born. So this is a huge pool of elderly people that are growing old. And so you have to be in those areas, those circles, where there's a lot of opportunity and a lot of people that are living. Maybe you don't know this, but I always thought that there were more elderly type folks down in Florida, because you hear that the snowbirds are down there. There's far more up in New York and Massachusetts and Pennsylvania. That's where we sell far more vests. We do sell a lot in Florida, but up there's a lot of folks that are in those particular categories that just don't want to move out of their homes.
Yeah. Well, I think that goes back to the point about location, right? I mean, you want to be where your customers are.
Exactly. That's true.
And if Charlotte's infrastructure, we're huge in, banking, right? That might not be the best place where you're going to find the majority of your customers. So it makes sense to go where they are.
And we're finding a lot up in the Raleigh area. And what happened was we were up in New York a couple weeks ago because they had the largest caregiver conference up in New York. And I got to tell you, we talked so much. The thing started at 8. We were talking to people at 7:30, and I was running out. I'm like, hey, I'm tired of talking, because people were interested in the product, because with given some of the financial things happening in our country, people are taking care of their families at home.
Yeah.
Mom and dad are staying in the house, and they need some sort of help to get them out of chairs and out of beds. And there's a lot of interest out there about the product.
Absolutely. So if you want a major jumpstart on your journey to opening a business, please head over to Charlotte Business Resources. This has been very, very insightful. Is there anything else you guys would like to share with our listeners before we wrap up today?
Cathy is very resilient. She works very, very hard. There's a lot of times when I'm going to call it a dry spell. It didn't look like this 3 years ago, but she didn't give up. Her family and sisters and whatnot didn't give up. And I would tell people that if you've got a great idea, you got to understand it's going to cost some money. I was talking to my brother-in-law today and asked him, how much money have we invested in this business since we started getting into it in 2012 or 2013? And we come up with a number of $150,000. So there's cost, there's being driven, there's not getting discouraged. A lot of prayer goes into this, and it's getting out and telling the story. And when you have something that people haven't seen before like this, you got to understand the market just doesn't run and jump at your door. So you've got to go jumping at the market's door. So you've got to be resilient, and you just cannot give up, and you just got to believe that one day the door is going to open, and the door is opening for us.
Yeah. Well, one thing I will share observing you two is I think the support system is very important. I'm a business owner myself, and my husband is extremely supportive, and he creates the runway so that I can take the time to be an entrepreneur. And so I think it is very important as I'm a young married couple to watch you in action and to hear how you compliment your wife and what you see in her, I think is phenomenal.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, he's really been a big help in our business, and he was pretty much the one who kind of laid the foundation as far as the business plan and how we should go about our business with the help of SCORE as well. And like he said, I'd like to piggyback off of what he said regarding if you do have an idea, continue with your idea. Do not get discouraged. Like he said, there will be times when there just doesn't seem like things are moving, but just stay planted, stay focused, and just continue working on it. It will come through. I had spoke with our patent attorney, and when we started this process, she made me actually write the first patent. I had no idea how to do it, and I did the best I could. And then when she saw that I was serious about doing it, when we gave it to her. She says, well, I had you do that because so many, when I have them do that, they get discouraged and they just give up and they give up on trying. And when I saw that you and your sister were willing to put in the effort, then I knew that you were serious about what your product was and what your invention was. So I would encourage people, just keep going, and it will really work out for you.
Well, I would just like to say one last thing, and I promise. Michael Jackson was he came from Mercedes-Benz trucks, and I think he was a CEO for them. And Michael's a driven guy, and you got to have someone that's going to kick you in the butt, and because sometimes you do get stuck, and you got to have someone that's as interested in your passion and product and your desire as you are. And I would just say that get someone in your corner that's going to motivate you to step up and step out. Because if you don't do that, then it's easy to fall back into complacency and not push yourself further and as far as you can go. And Michael was really good about that. And, we had a lot of fun. He's a good guy. I hope the best for him.
I love that. So in terms of social media and website handles or phone numbers, if people are interested to learn more about you or your product, where can they find you?
They could go to our email address is info@easyliftfest.com, and our website is www.easyliftfest.com.
Right. And I have a souvenir. Can you explain what this is to our listeners?
Yes, that is called a chamois. And we use that during our trade shows as giveaways. And the thing that we like about it, it was created by our manufacturer, Dunn Manufacturing. And it is very durable chamois. You can use it for absolutely anything, whether it's wiping your child's nose or cleaning your eyeglasses or your windshield. Whatever the need is, it's there for that use. And the good thing about it is that you can wash it forever and it will still come out looking just like that, like it's brand new.
So a key thing that she also didn't say that Jim made a reference to, her SCORE mentor, was do everything with love, which I thought about Southwest Airlines when I heard that. So where did this come from?
Well, it came from the fact that when you're a caregiver, sometimes you're doing this alone in your home behind closed doors. And a lot of times it is a struggle. And even though sometimes you have the best intentions, your heart is in it, you're trying to do your best, there are times when you just really become overwhelmed and you become very tired. And I wanted the caregivers to know that what they are doing is so important, and that even if their loved one or family member does not express that to them, they do know it's important, they do appreciate it, and to just try to keep your stress level down and just do everything with love and care for them with love. And I think when they think of that it'll help them remember that, they're doing it for a reason, a good reason, and that they're doing it from the love of their hearts.
So business owners, I hope you learned as much today that I did. There's so many takeaways that I have. The best thing that I think came out of today's session for me is not to give up and to do the work, but make sure that you surround yourself with really good people. And it should come from your heart and you just really having the desire to serve. So just think about that. So for exclusive interviews with small business professionals, make sure to subscribe to us wherever you listen to podcasts or at cbrbiz.com. And if you like today's show, please rate and review us. If you have any questions or topics or suggestions, send in your requests at CBRBiz on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. Again, I am your host, Vanessa Vaughn Matthews, and thanks again for listening to the CBR B2U podcast.